Hello everyone, welcome to the course. Having a data in front of you, what do you think? What you need to do? Okay, it's simple. Basically, when you get a data, you have to make the data clean. That means you are not capable of doing any analysis, building any machine learning objects with any inconsistent data set. So that is why you have to clean the data first. So at first, we have to load our dataset in our Jupyter Notebook environment. So go to ChatGPT and we'll command ChatGPT to provide us the required code. So as you can see that I have written, give me a Python code to load an Excel data. Now hit enter. You can see that how fast ChatGPT provides you the required Python code. So let's understand our code because it is very important to understand your code. Without understanding the code, you will not be able to a perfect data scientist, right? Okay. So at first you can see that ChatGPT provides us this command where it is written that pip install pandas. So pip is a command and install is another command used to install any library that is necessary to perform any particular task with Python programming. So pandas is a library or a package that is necessary to perform any task for any data frame object. So as we are going to load a data set in Excel format, which is basically a data frame format, so we need the library pandas to modify it, to make any analysis, any adjustment or anything in Python. So if you are a beginner and if your Jupyter notebook has no installation of pandas, you have to copy the code, go to Jupyter notebook, paste it here, and now you have to press the shift key and hit the enter. So you can see that the pandas package is installed. Let's see the next lines of code. So you have finished installing the pandas library, right? So you have to import the pandas package or the pandas library in your Jupyter notebook. You can see this line of code where it is written that import pandas as PD. So it is commanding the Jupyter notebook that import the pandas library you just installed as PD. As means alias PD. So that means whenever you write the PD in your code, it refers to any task done from the pandas library. So as we are dealing with the data frame, so whenever you can see any code written with the alias PD, that means for this particular data frame, we are working any task that comes from the pandas library, right? Yes. After that, you can see that the line of code given by ChatGPT, and here we can see that it begins with the Excel underscore file and then an equal sign, right? So Excel underscore file is our hello everyone. Now you are going to see how to deal with missing values in a data frame with Python and ChatGPT so faster, so easily. We have loaded our dataset and now we have to find out whether there is any missing values in the variables of this dataset. So we have to at first identify which particular variables in our dataset have any missing values. So basically we will go to ChatGPT and give the command that, so here we can see that I write give me a Python code to find out missing values in a data, and here you can see the lines of code. So at first you can see in the code it imports the pandas library again. We do not need to import any library again and again. We just need to import it once, and as we have imported while loading our dataset, we do not need to import it again. So it is showing us to import the dataset as well. We have already imported our data. We do not need this line of code as well, but we need this code. Here you can see that the command check for missing values in the entire data frame. So this particular line of code helps us to find out any missing values in our data frame and its variables. So as you can see that the code starts with the missing underscore values, which is a variable within which the missing values from the data frame is stored. That means whenever we call these particular variables, it will show us the missing values in each variable in a data frame. So you remember that our data frame was loaded in a variable name df, and at first the df is used, then the dot is null is a method, is a Python method which is used to find out any missing values in the variables of a data frame. And after that the dot sum is another Python method which aggregates all the missing values in each variable in a data frame. And after that you can see the print missing values and any missing values that is higher than 0 to filter out only the variables that has missing values. To filter out, you can see that it use the variable name missing values, and then again within the third bracket it again use the variable names and command to show any variable with missing values greater than 0. However, we'll learn more about sorting and filtering in upcoming lesson. So as we do not need these two lines of code, we'll just copy from here to here. Then we'll go to Jupyter Notebook and paste it here and run the code. So here you can see that the output is showing us two variables. One is order underscore value underscore euro with the number of missing value is 5. That means there are 5 missing values in this particular variable, and similar for another variable which is device underscore type, and it also includes 5 missing variables. Now we have to deal with the missing values with this variable. So we'll go to ChatGPT and tell ChatGPT. So I write that give me a Python code for simple imputer to impute missing values in a variable of a data. So simple imputer is a machine learning function which is used to impute the missing values or to replace the missing values in a variable in a data by a standard measure. So here the standard measure means it can be mean, median or mode. So for any numeric data, we use the either mean value or the median value, but we always recommend to use the median value, as the median value is not affected by the outliers in your data, while there may be a chance to have any outlier in your numeric data, right? But for any categorical variable or nominal variable, you have to use the strategy or the standard measure mode, which is the most frequent value, categorical value in this particular categorical data. However, just run the code. So here you can see the line of code. At first, it imported the pandas library, but it also imported the simple imputer function. And as you can see, the simple imputer function is imported from the library of Python sklearn.impute. Sklearn is a scikit-learn, which is the library that includes the function of Python applied to the machine learning job or data science job. In this particular section, the simple imputer is a function that is used to impute or replace the missing values in a large dataset as fast as possible by the standard measures like mean, median or mode. In the second line of code, you can see that it loaded the data. We have already done it. We do not need it again. And in the third line, you can see that it defines the column. Here the column name is the variable name. As you can see that the variables are order, value, euro and device type. We'll replace the column name with our variable that has the missing value. In the next line of code, you can see that it starts with imputer. So this is the variable within which the functionality of simple imputer will be stored. So here you can see in the right side of the equal sign, the simple imputer, which is the function, and it is called with defining its strategy is mean. So what does mean by defining strategy by writing strategy and equal sign? As I told you that for any numeric data, we can replace the missing values by mean or median. So here ChatGPT by default providing us the strategy mean to replace any missing values in our numeric data by the mean value of this particular data. But we will revise it by writing median instead of mean. And in the final line of code, you can see that it starts with df and the target underscore column within third bracket. That means the target column, you can see this variable that stored the variable with missing values will define against the column underscore name. Here in this part of code, it is actually showing us that to replace the particular variable such as order value euro by the imputed variable with no missing values of the existing order value euro variable that has missing values. So this particular part of the code is actually replacing our existing order value euro with any missing values by the order value euro variable that is imputed, that which missing values are replaced by the standard measure. And in the right side of the equal sign, you can see the line of code is used to impute the missing values from our target column. Here is the imputer variable that loaded the simple imputer functionality with the strategy mean, and then it calls the dot fit transform. So fit underscore transform is a function. It is transforming our target column's values by implementing the functionality of simple imputer and transforming it to remove the missing values by replacing those missing values with the standard measure. And within the bracket of the fit underscore transform, we can see that our target column is filtered out. That means, so you can see that we have written down df, right, which is our data frame, and we have used the two continuous third brackets. So when you have to import the values of any variable in a two-dimensional array or in a data frame object type, then you have to use two continuous third bracket. But if you only use the one third bracket, then the values of the variable will be imported in front of you as one dimensional array type or in a list type. But you have to import the values of our target column, ensuring it is two-dimensional array or in a data frame format. Otherwise the function will not work properly. So before doing it, you have to ensure that the scikit-learn library is installed in your Jupyter notebook. To do so, you have to use the same line of code you use to install the pandas library. Just you have to replace the name with scikit-learn. And if you run the code, you can see that the installation is done. And now you have to import the simple imputer from the library by this line of code we talked about, and just run the code. You can see it takes some time but runs properly. Then we have to copy the three line of code to impute the missing values, and just copy here. We have to revise the column underscore name definitely by the numeric value order value euro, and we have to revise it median from mean, as we are using the strategy median to replace the missing values in order euro variable. Now run the code. You can see the code runs very fast. And now let's check this particular line of code to see the number of missing values, which is df.isnal.sum. Just run the code. You can see that the variable order value euro has no missing value right now. That means our 5 missing values are imputed by the median value of the variable. But we have another variable with missing values, which is device type. So device type is a categorical variable. So if we call df dot device type, you can see the values are nominal like mobile, PC, etc. So this is a categorical variable, so we have to use the same line of code, but now we have to use the strategy most frequent, as you can see here. So just copy the lines of code, paste it into another cell, and now you have to at first revise the variable name order value row by the device type, and you have to use the most frequent strategy instead of median, because the device type is a categorical variable. And now everything is okay. Just run the code. You can see the code runs perfectly. Again, run this line of code to check the overall missing values in our data, and there is a boom. You can see there is no missing values in our data right now. So this is how you can deal with missing values professionally, faster, and easily with the help of Python and ChatGPT. That's all. Thank you. Everyone, welcome to the new lesson where we are going to deal with the data types of the variable in a data. So dealing with data type is important. Without assigning the correct data type, you cannot make the proper analysis you want to do. For example, here you can see the variable cost, right? So if we proceed to our data, you can see the cost includes values like this one with decimal points. By this, you can ensure yourself that the variable must be numeric data. And in Python, there are two types of numeric data like float and integer. And integer is a numeric data without any decimal point or whole numbers data, and float type data or value in a numeric variable indicate any numeric values with decimal points. So in our case, the cost variable must be float type data. So we have to find out what is the data type assigned by the Python, or whether there is any inconsistent value that make the wrong assignment of the data type by default. So we have to find out and we have to assign the correct one. So at first we have to find out the assigned data type for each variable. So we'll go to ChatGPT and tell ChatGPT, give me a Python code to find the data types of the variables in a data. So just run the command for ChatGPT, and here you can see that at first it import the pandas library. We have already done it. Then it created an example data frame to provide us the complete idea, but we have already our data set. So we just need this small line of code to find out the data type of the variables in our data. So here you can see the data underscore types, which is a variable within which the data types of the data frame is stored. So if you check this small code, which is started with df, and the df is a variable within which we loaded our data, and after the dot dtypes method is used, which is a method in a Python code or the Python programming, to find out the data types of all the variables within this data frame. So if we just copy this small code and go to our Jupyter notebook, paste it here and run the code. So let's see how we can remove this particular value from our numeric value. So I write that give me a Python code to remove a row including this value of triple x from a numeric variable in a dataset. So run the command. So here is the codes. You can see that at first it imported the pandas library and created the example data. We do not need it because we have our dataset and imported the pandas library. So it assigns the example variable, the numeric variable, in a variable numeric underscore column. and then it assigns the inconsistent value within the variable in a variable name value to remove. Then our line of code through which we are removing the line that includes the inconsistent value. So here you can see it starts with mask, which is the value in which our variable will be stored without the inconsistent values. So at first it starts with df, so which is our data frame, then the column, numeric column in which our variable is stored. So basically in this particular sense it is extracting the values of each variable from the data frame. Then it puts a condition of dual equal sign. That means from the values of this numeric column we will just have the row that contains our inconsistent value. Here you can see equals to value underscore to underscore remove. That means that we extract all the values, and by the dual equal sign it is filtering only the line of rows from the entire data that only includes the inconsistent value of the variable we defined within the third bracket of our data frame. And after that we are filtering our data frame again, get the right data without the inconsistent value in the variable of cost. And to do so we at first define the df, and within the third bracket we put the mask, and most importantly before mask we assign a tilde sign. A tilde sign is a sign used in Python to accept all the values instead of that any particular value. For example, we are taking all the values, all the variables that are in the data frame except the values which is equal to our inconsistent value we defined with this line of code. And the tilde sign is taking all the values instead of our row including the inconsistent value. However, we can make it more simple by directly assigning the column name instead of numeric underscore column, and assigning our inconsistent value instead of value underscore to underscore remove. And we just need to copy the code, go to Jupyter notebook, paste it here, and we have to make the revisions like at first the variable is cost and our value is XXX, right? So everything is okay. Just run the code. You can see the code runs perfectly. Now if we run this particular codes again, you can see we got an empty list. That means there is no non-numeric value in the variable cost. And now we have to assign the correct data type for the variable cost. So we'll go to ChatGPT and tell ChatGPT so here you can see the lines of code. We'll ignore these codes again. Have this line of code to assign the correct data type. So you can see that the numeric underscore column, that means we have to assign the variable we are dealing with within here. And in this sense, it again takes the corrected values of the variable we are assigning from our data frame and replace the values of the variable in our existing data frame. However, the most important part is here you can see that we are calling the variables values through this piece of code as we talked earlier, and then the .type method is used, which is the Python method used to assign the proper data type, and within the bracket it puts the int, but we know that our data type is float, so we'll use here float, not int. So just copy the codes, go to Jupyter notebook, paste it here, and we have to just make some revisions again. We have to define our variable name. Again, we have to define our variable name, and we have to revise it to float because our correct data type for cost is float. And now if we check the data type, you can see that the data type for cost variable becomes float 64. So this is how you can completely and professionally deal with data types. However, there are another variable called date, and we have to assign the proper data type for this. So it is simple. We just need to copy this line of code to assign the correct data type for our date variable. We just need to replace the cost with date, and we have to replace the float with date time 64, and you have to put the date time 64 within a quotation mark and just run the code. You can see the code runs perfectly. Again, let's check the data types in the variable of our data set. So you can see that the data type of date variable is converted into date time 64, right? So let's see our data frame again, and here you can see that the values in the date column is perfectly organized. And at first you can see the year 2020, then the month 12, and then the day 02. So this is how you can deal with data types. Yes, it is very important to check for inconsistent value before dealing with data types of numeric data. So remember it and achieve your destination. Thank you. Hello everyone. So now we are going to deal with the duplicates values in our data set. So it is the most easiest part in cleaning up data set through Python and ChatGPT. There is just we need to perform a line of command and then everything is okay. So just go to ChatGPT, tell ChatGPT that give me a Python code to deal with duplicates. Now hit enter. So here you can see at first it created the sample data. We do not need it, but we need this line of code. Here you can see that the code starts with the variable name duplicates, and in the right side of the equal sign, you can see the functionality of the duplicated function. At first our data frame is called and the third bracket is open, and within the third bracket you can see both sides df dot duplicated is mentioned. So dot duplicated is a function of Python which is used to derive the duplicated data from a data frame. So in our case, at first we are applying the duplicated function in our data frame to find out the duplicated rows, and the duplicated rows is filtered from our entire data, and the rows are stored in the variable called duplicates. And then you can see the heading is printed duplicate rows, and the duplicates variable is printed to see the rows which are duplicated in our data. And then you can see the code to remove the duplicate values. You can see that our data frame is mentioned here, then the dot drop underscore duplicate method is used, which is a function to remove the duplicate data from the data frame. And then you can see the heading for data frame without duplicates is printed through the print function, and df underscore no underscore duplicate variables is printed out, which is a variable you can see here within which our data frame where we applied the Python method drop underscore duplicates to remove the duplicated value and store our data frame without the duplicated value in this particular variable. So this variable is called here to see our data without duplicates. So at first we want to check whether there is any duplicate rows in our data frame. So just need to copy this line of code to find out the duplicated rows. So paste it here and just run the code. So you can see here is our output, but we want the output in a fresh way. So we'll remove the print command from the duplicates variable, and just run the code. So here you can see the duplicated rows. Here we can see the rows number 15, which is duplicated, and we want to remove this duplicated row from our data. Here you can see the next lines of code to remove the duplicated data, and we just need to run the code. Again, we will remove the print function to make our output more attractive, and you can see that this is our data without any duplicated data. So that's all to deal with duplicate value. It is very easy, and here you finished cleaning your data. So your data is now clean. So here you can name it that clean underscore data and put a equal sign, within which we'll transform our last data frame without any missing values, without any inconsistent value, without any wrong data types, and finally without any duplicates. And just run the code and call the data and its first 5 rows through the head method. So here you can see our cleaned data. So that's all cleaning data set. Thank you.